Oswald, the CIA, and Mexico City. Written by Dan Hardway and Edwin Lopez, House Select Committee on Assassinations. This version has gone through 3 rounds of declassification. It was originally released by the CIA in 1993. The remaining redactions were reviewed by the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Review Board in November 1995 and again in October 1996. Publisher's note: redactions in the following text are read into this recording as redacted. End note. Section 1. Introduction. A. Issues addressed. The House Select Committee on Assassinations investigation into Lee Harvey Oswald's activities in Mexico City has been directed at answering the following questions. 1. Did Lee Harvey Oswald visit the Soviet and Cuban consulates or embassies in Mexico City? 2. In addition to the visits which may have been made to the embassies, what were Lee Harvey Oswald's activities while he was in Mexico City? 3. Was Lee Harvey Oswald alone in Mexico City? If not, who were his associates and what were their activities? 4. Did the Central Intelligence Agency maintain any surveillance operation aimed at the Cuban and Soviet diplomatic missions in Mexico City? If so, what kind? 5. What information, if any, about Oswald's stay in Mexico was known by the CIA Mexico City station prior to the assassination, and what was the source of that information? 6. Was the information, if any, in the possession of the CIA Mexico City station reported to the CIA headquarters accurately and expeditiously prior to the assassination? 7. Was the information in the possession of the CIA Mexico City station reported to the CIA headquarters accurately and expeditiously after the assassination? 8. Was the information developed by the CIA in Mexico City communicated to the Warren Commission in an accurate and expeditious manner? 9. Did the CIA photo surveillance of the Cuban and Soviet diplomatic compounds in Mexico City, if such photo surveillance existed, obtain a photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald? If so, what became of that photograph? B. Differences between the Warren Commission investigation of Lee Harvey Oswald's activities in Mexico City and the House Select Committee on Assassinations investigation. The approach taken by this committee's investigation differs from that of the Warren Commission primarily in terms of scope. The Warren Commission and the investigative agencies at its disposal went to great lengths to establish Oswald's travel to and from Mexico, but devoted minimal effort to evaluating Oswald's contacts with the Cuban and Soviet consulates. It is the conclusion of this committee that the Warren Commission correctly established that Oswald had traveled to Mexico City. Hence, this committee has chosen not to reinvestigate Oswald's travel to and from Mexico City. Instead, the committee's approach has been to focus narrowly on Oswald's contacts with the Soviet and Cuban diplomatic missions in Mexico City and on evidence that was not available to the Warren Commission that could possibly shed light on Oswald's activities in Mexico City outside of the Soviet and Cuban installations. The Warren Commission limited its discussion of Oswald's contacts with the Soviet and Cuban diplomatic missions to information obtained from Sylvia Duran and the Cuban government. Footnote: see Warren Report, pages 299 through 304, 733 through 736. In support of its account of Oswald's contacts with the Soviet and Cuban diplomatic missions, the Warren Commission published the following as exhibits. 1. A note from the Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Swiss ambassador in Cuba, Commission Exhibit 2445. 2. Lee Harvey Oswald's visa application and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cuba's letter denying the visa, Commission Exhibit 2564. 3. Letterhead memorandum to J. Lee Rankin from Richard Helms, Re. technical examination of photographs of Lee Harvey Oswald's application for a Cuban visa, Commission Exhibit 3127. 4. The pages of Lee Harvey Oswald's notebook with the telephone numbers of the Cuban consulate, the Soviet consulate, and the Soviet military attaché's office, Commission Exhibit 2121. 5. A letter dated November 9, 1963, from Lee Harvey Oswald to the Soviet Embassy in Washington, D.C., Commission Exhibit 15. 6. A letter from J. Edgar Hoover to the Warren Commission listing the contents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's file holdings on Lee Harvey Oswald prior to the assassination, Commission Exhibit 834. This document listed a Central Intelligence Agency release dated October 9, 1963, that reported Oswald's contact with the Soviet Embassy in Mexico City. 7. A memorandum dated May 14, 1964, to the United States Embassy in Mexico City from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Mexico, Commission Exhibit 2120. 8. A memorandum dated June 9, 1964, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mexico to the United States Embassy in Mexico City, Commission Exhibit 2123. 9. A letterhead memorandum to J. Lee Rankin from Richard Helms, re. Hours of Work at the Cuban and Soviet Consulates, Commission Exhibit 2568. End footnote. At one point in the report, the Commission referred to other information. Quote, by far, the most important confirmation of Senora Duran's testimony, however, has been supplied by confidential sources of extremely high reliability available to the United States in Mexico. The information from these sources establishes that her testimony was truthful and accurate in all material respects. The identities of these sources cannot be disclosed without destroying their future usefulness to the United States. End quote. The Warren Commission did not print anything in the 26 volumes of evidence to support its statements that Sylvia Duran's testimony was confirmed by confidential sources of extremely high reliability. In an attempt to answer the questions posed by Lee Harvey Oswald's visit to Mexico City in September and October of 1963, the House Select Committee on Assassinations has pursued the following investigative procedure. 1. Conducted extensive interviews, depositions, and executive session hearings involving Central Intelligence Agency personnel. 2. Interviewed Cuban citizens who could have knowledge of Oswald's sojourn in Mexico. 3. Interviewed Mexican citizens who could have knowledge of Oswald's activities and associations while he was in Mexico. 4. Conducted an extensive review of the files of the Central Intelligence Agency and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that pertain to Oswald and Mexico City. C. Conclusions. 1. Someone who identified himself as Lee Harvey Oswald called the Soviet consulate on 1st of October 1963. This individual indicated that he had visited the Soviet consulate at least once. Other evidence from the CIA wiretaps and witness testimony indicates that the individual visited the Soviet and Cuban consulates on 5 or 6 different occasions. While the majority of the evidence tends to indicate that this individual was indeed Lee Harvey Oswald, the possibility that someone else used Lee Harvey Oswald's name during this time in contacts with the Soviet and Cuban consulates cannot be absolutely dismissed. 2. This committee has not been able to determine Lee Harvey Oswald's activities outside of the Cuban and Soviet embassies with certainty. There is a report, which has not been confirmed, indicating that during his stay in Mexico, Oswald attended a twist party at the home of Ruben Duran Navarro, the brother-in-law of Sylvia Duran. There is also unconfirmed evidence which, if true, would indicate that Oswald spent one night and parts of 2 days with a group of pro-Castro students from the University of Mexico. 3. There is a report that Oswald may have been in the company of a tall, thin, blonde-headed man while in Mexico. This report has not been confirmed. If true, It is possible that this same individual may on occasion have used Oswald's name in dealing with the Cuban and Soviet consulates. The man's name, if there was such a man, is not known. 4. On the dates that Oswald was in Mexico, the CIA had photographic surveillance operations which covered entrances to the Soviet embassy and the Cuban embassy and consulate. The CIA also had electronic surveillance on telephones in the Soviet consulate and military attaché's office and Cuban diplomatic compounds. The telephone at the Cuban consulate was not subject to that surveillance. 5. The CIA's Mexico City station definitely knew of Oswald's contacts with both the Soviet and Cuban diplomatic compounds and of his desire to obtain an in-transit visa for travel to Russia via Cuba. The source of this information was the electronic surveillance on the Soviet consulate and Soviet military attaché's office. 6. All information in the possession of the CIA Mexico City station was not reported to CIA headquarters in an accurate and expeditious manner prior to the assassination. 7. With the exception of a few possibly benign irregularities, and considering the possibility that not all of the information available to the station has been provided to this committee, the information in the possession of the CIA Mexico station was reported in an accurate and expeditious manner after the assassination to headquarters. 8. With the exception of those areas that involved sensitive sources and methods, such as the information pertaining to the electronic and photographic surveillance of the Soviet and Cuban diplomatic compounds, information developed by the CIA in Mexico was generally relayed to the Warren Commission in an accurate and expeditious manner. 9. It is the conclusion of this committee that the CIA's photo surveillance operations in Mexico City probably obtained a photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald entering either or both the Soviet and Cuban consulates. The CIA denies that such a photograph exists, hence the disposition of this photograph is unknown. 10. The CIA telephone surveillance on the Soviet embassy taped several calls of a man using the name Lee Oswald. These tapes were retained for a routine 2-week period and were most likely erased shortly after 16th of October, 1963. These tapes were probably in existence at the time of the assassination. 11. The committee is aware of the allegations that Silvia Tirado de Duran may have been an intelligence agent for either the Cubans, Mexicans, or Americans. Miss Duran was probably never employed by Cuban intelligence. While there is no direct evidence on the question other than Miss Duran's denial, the committee believes that the circumstantial evidence that tends to indicate that Miss Duran had a relationship of some type with either Mexican or American intelligence is of such a nature that the possibility cannot be dismissed. D. Structure and relevancy. The following report detailing the results of this committee's investigation efforts regarding Mexico City is divided into general areas. 1. CIA surveillance operations in Mexico City during September and October of 1963. 2. Information about Lee Harvey Oswald's stay in Mexico City that was known prior to the assassination. 3. Reconstruction of the CIA Mexico City station and headquarters activity regarding Oswald prior to the assassination. 4. Mexico City reporting of information after the assassination. 5. Witnesses from the Cuban consulate. 6. Investigation of related information that was not available to the Warren Commission. And 7. Reconstruction of Oswald's activities in Mexico City. The reader should be advised at the outset that the first section following is technical in nature and may not appear directly relevant at first blush. But the report is cumulative in nature. The specific, detailed analyses of the standard operating procedures in the first section are necessary to and form a partial basis for the reconstruction of the Mexico City station's handling of the Oswald case. There are many gaps left by the documentary and testimonial evidence concerning the manner in which the CIA's Mexico City station and headquarters reacted to Oswald's presence in Mexico City. A knowledge of the way in which the Mexico City station operated and the procedures involved in those surveillance operations which detected Oswald is valuable in filling the gaps of the specific case which is the subject of this report. Glossary of terms used in report. Agent, a person who knowingly works for the CIA on a contract or job basis. Asset, a general term for persons, not officers, used by the CIA. For example, both agents and sources are assets. An asset is anyone used in an operation or project, whether or not that is aware that he is being used. Case officer, see operations officer. Coverage, surveillance. Cryptonym, a series of letters used by the CIA to identify someone or something while protecting that person or thing's true identity. All the letters in a cryptonym are capitalized. The first two letters are assigned by the subject matter or locale to which the person or thing belongs. The rest of the cryptonym is randomly assigned. See limited, for example. The LI designates that the project was located in Mexico. Chronological file, a folder in which material is stored in chronological order, usually used for production or communications type material. Electronic intercept base, house, apartment, or building that contains equipment used in intercepting and taping telephone conversations subject to electronic surveillance. FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Lie empty, CIA cryptonym for photographic project aimed at the Soviet Embassy in Mexico City. Ladrode, CIA cryptonym pre-1964 for surveillance operation aimed at the Cubans in Mexico City. LI Lyric, CIA cryptonym assigned to one of the three bases which provided photographic surveillance of the Soviet Embassy in Mexico City. Limerick, CIA cryptonym meaning Soviet. Limited, CIA cryptonym of one of three bases which provided photographic surveillance of the Soviet Embassy in Mexico City. Lionion, CIA cryptonym for photographic surveillance operations aimed at the Cuban diplomatic compound in Mexico City after July 1964. Listening post, see electronic intercept base. Logs, a list of photographs taken and the times they were taken prepared by agents in the photographic base houses. Monitors, redacted, who worked in the electronic intercept base listening to conversations on telephone lines subject to wiretaps and summarizing those conversations they deemed to be important. Officer, CIA career employee. Operation, a subpart of a project, often used interchangeably with project. Operations officer, CIA career employee, term usually used in connection with an employee with responsibility for a particular operation or project. Penetration agent, an agent who works inside a target institution. For example, redacted, worked for the CIA in the Cuban Embassy in Mexico City. P-file, designation assigned to a personality file in the CIA's Mexico City station, a file for the retention of information in written form arranged according to individuals' names. Photographic base, house, apartment, or building used for housing of photographic surveillance equipment and the agents who operate it, always located near the target. Pitched, made an effort to recruit as an agent, asset, or source. Production, materials or information generated by an operation or project. Project, a group or set of operations by the CIA aimed at a specific person, institution, or thing with the aim of collecting information, influencing behavior, etc. Project files, a folder for the retention of information generated by or relating to a project, generally broken down into 4 subfiles: developments and plans, production, support, and operations. Pseudonym, False name assigned to CIA officers for use in communication channels. Pulse camera. A camera with a shutter that is automatically tripped by a triggering device activated by changes in light density. Resume. Daily summary of important conversations on surveilled telephone lines prepared by monitors in the listening post. Selected out. Phrase used when a Foreign Service officer is retired after having been in one grade for the maximum period of time and is not considered qualified for promotion to a higher grade. Source. A person who either wittingly or unwittingly provides information to the CIA. Station. A CIA overseas installation. It is the headquarters for operations in a particular country and is usually located, redacted, the country in which it is situated. Subject file. Folder for the retention of information in written form arranged by the subject matter of the information contained. Target. A person, institution, or thing at which a project, operation, or pitch is aimed. VLS-2 trigger device. A machine which automatically triggers the shutter of a camera when it senses a change in light density, used along with a camera and a spotting scope in a pulse camera.